MVP.
Renters do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 112. Al, you remember you used to sing Peaches and Guest?
Yo, room 112. We little Peaches and Guest, a little dance with Quigs. Remember that?
You gotta love it, dude. Shout out to those of you who follow early 2000s hip hop there with the 112 shout out. But
is that why Guest is late? Is he indulging in a little Peaches and Guest as we speak, maybe?
It's certainly possible. So we were waiting on Chris here, myself and Al Ryan. Labor Day has come and gone, Al. Summer is long in the dust at this point. We are just hours away from football season. Shout out Ern Ivanone in the chat. He says, what's up?
What's up, Ern? I got to be honest, Ern. I'm a little disappointed that you didn't want to come on for segment 3 tonight for the draft. We wanted some fireworks out of you, bud.
Indeed. So Al teased it. We're going to do a NFL wins draft in segment 3. And we got a lot of football talk to get into before that as we kind of wait for Chris to jump on here. But any thoughts? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Like you said, it's just like the transition in the fall. As you guys know, I'm a teacher, so my kids came back yesterday. So just getting back into the teacher life. And honestly, so I was at Jackson's football practice tonight, and it's like 7:20, and the sun's already behind the trees. The air is cool. So we're back. The one house 2 blocks down already has all their Halloween decorations up. Very early. I agree. Very early. Wawa has the pumpkin spice coffee out. So we're in the thick of it already, even though it's only September 4th.
Yeah, you can also, I don't know what time you get up for work, but you leave the house 6:30. You need to have sleeves on.
It's still
dark, 50-degree weather.
Yeah, we changed our start time this year. So I'm up out of the house a half an hour earlier now. So I'm awake at 6 a.m. and I'm out at about 6:45. But yeah, it's still dark out.
Just some housekeeping before we wait for Chris here to jump on. I know we've been back and forth on certain nights this week. We'll be locked in on Tuesdays from here on out for the foreseeable future, as far as I know, unless something crazy comes up. But appreciate you guys sticking with us as we jump around some Mondays, some Tuesdays, and even a special Wednesday edition tonight.
Yeah, listen, any day of the week. If the day ends in the letter Y, we're ready to go. So we appreciate the listeners' flexibility. Ern, we appreciate your flexibility in the chat, and thanks for joining us. And look, let's go. It's a football episode tonight, Adam.
All right, let's do it. Eagles, we are 47 hours away from opening kickoff, give or take.
Yeah, and we got to get as much in as we can before guest gets on and talks for the next 47 hours about about the Eagles.
True. Eagles open as 2.5-point favorites against the Green Bay Packers in Brazil. For those of you who listened last week, they did fly out today. Actually, I was way off on what I expected for a 10-hour flight down to Brazil for the big game on Friday night. Al, I guess we can start instead of breaking down the matchups. What are you looking for the most in this game?
Man, Adam, I'm looking for a lot of things, honestly. First and foremost, though, I'm very interested to see how this new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and how our new running back, Saquon Barkley, how he's going to use him to attack the Packers defense. If you look at DeAndre Swift's numbers last year as an Eagle, there were games where he was getting upwards of 20 to 25 touches and targets combined. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Saquon Barkley hopefully eclipse that 20-touch mark between touches and targets. I want to see us run the ball. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, those 3 words, we've been shouting those 3 words for decades now. And I want to see it happen because I want to see us open the field up and then be able to stretch the field with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Dallas Goedert, one of the most overrated tight ends in football that you said last week, and with new acquisition, Jahan Dotson. So I'm most looking forward to seeing this offense at work finally, after the way, watching it sputter, at the end of the year last year. So that's my number one.
Yeah, and it's a great point, Al, because I'm looking at the Green Bay stats last year, and obviously last year's, things change. But the Packers were 28th in yards allowed on the ground last year, and they were 9th in yards allowed in the air. So they can be attacked on the ground, and we're going to see if they're going to take this valuable asset in Saquon Barkley and see what he has in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, they have Jair Alexander on the outside. He's a very good cornerback, but when you have A.J. Brown is the kind of receiver when you're as your number one guy, he should be able to beat anybody one-on-one.
Yeah, and if he's getting doubled, there's other weapons, like you said, around there, Devontae. We'll see what Jahan Dotson has in his role, Goddard, Barkley, etc. But again, it all comes down to Hurts, right? It comes down to the energy that he brings and whether or not we get the guy from 2 years ago or the guy from last year. What I'm most excited to see, or what I'm most interested to see, is how this secondary looks on the field. Because what I'm looking at now, when I look at this depth chart, is a lot of names and a lot of names with question marks. We talked a little bit about it last week, but Darius Slay is a year older. James Bradbury looked washed last year. You've got the first Quinyon Mitchell, a rookie, first-round pick. Apparently he's going to play a lot. Cooper DeJean apparently is a little bit behind because of his injury. Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, Rodgers hasn't played football in a year. There's just a lot of question marks. And when you look at the Green Bay Packers receiving core, while there's not a stud name that pops out to you, they have 4 legit NFL wide receivers in Christian Watson, Wicks, Dobbs, and I'm missing one, Jaden Reed. They're 4 really good receivers with an up-and-coming quarterback and a decent running game. So I think to see, A, who is on the field in the secondary, and B, how they perform, because I think it's one of the most important units that they're going to have. And you have the return of C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well.
Yeah, it really scares me, actually, to think about what Green Bay might be able to do on offense against our defense, specifically against our secondary and against our linebackers as well. Because our linebackers, there's just question marks all over the field. Without Devin White playing, you're looking at Zach Bond, Bryce Huff, probably a lot of Nakobe Dean, a guy that the Eagles fans have been waiting to see flourish. And maybe this is his opportunity Friday night to really show that he's ready to, take the big stage and be an NFL contributor. Are we going to see how much Brandon Graham are we going to see? How much Jeremiah Trotter Jr. are we going to see? There's just question marks all over that defense against an offense that Matt LaFleur is known for being able to spread the ball around, be able to, open things up. And Jordan Love did not make a lot of mistakes down the stretch last year. We saw him gash the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas in the playoffs. They were very close to beating the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. So I'm not excited to see that, our defense, because I'm nervous. I'm very nervous to see it.
Yeah, I mean it's an excited nervous though, because it can't be worse than what we saw last year. I would hope at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. It's a nervous excitement. You're right. And real quick, I know this is a quick aside, but this week and this opening stretch of games is so much better, in my opinion, than the Super Bowl. Like, I would take the opening week over the Super Bowl 10 times out of 10. Yeah,
no, the excitement and the build-up for sure, because there's so many times the Super Bowl comes to you don't care about the teams in it. You're very anti-Super Bowl.
Very anti-Super Bowl. I just don't understand if your team's not in it. I just don't understand what the big deal is.
No, I agree. I mean, week one, especially if you're a gambler or you're in fantasy, the week one is just a huge, like the anticipation, it's insane. There he is. What's up,
Sorry, guys. My computer's I've been battling this computer for the last 25 minutes. Like, I restarted it 3 times. I can't click any of my tabs.
Did you unplug the tower?
Guest joining us via AOL.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, this computer is like 13 years old, so it's ready to go. But I don't have my computer from work, and it's at work because I don't have any work to do tonight. So I kept it in the classroom. So I'm like trying to use this, and it's awful.
Well, real quick, Diverse in the chat agrees. He thinks the defense is a mess, and he says it's going to be a long season. That's wow, strong words.
So Chris, we already discussed the things that we're most interested in seeing on Friday. So I'm curious as to you, what are you most interested in seeing on Friday?
Just Saquon Barkley. I think just seeing listen to Saquon Barkley with this offensive line and with this offense as a whole, and with the play calling and things like that, with how they're going to use him. Is he going to be more of a weapon out the backfield? Is he going to be more with, a dual weapon with Jalen as far as running the ball? What they're going to do with him in this offense is what I'm looking forward to the most.
You guys think the tush push is coming back as much as it has been the last 2 years?
Maybe not as much, but there's certainly it's going to be in the playbook.
I don't want to hear anybody else the rest of this season talk about how it's an easy play, because if you watch other teams do it, they can't. If you watch our team do it without the horses that we have normally, we can't. So it's not an easy play. It's not a gimme play at all. You got to have personnel to run it.
I'm curious to see the difference in running it without Jason Kelce in the middle.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But we also have a stronger push from the back pause with Saquon there this year than a guy like Gainwell or Sanders or Boston Scott or anybody else you would throw back there, Swift. So that's going to help too.
Well, now in the set of the tush push between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, we got the quads set, because those might be the 4 biggest quads in football.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. So I think that's definitely going to hopefully counter that potential issue with Kelce not being there. But it's a good point raised. We'll see.
Chris, I did want to ask you. We had a conversation last week. I think you doubted me a little on the Devin White stuff. I didn't see you.
I didn't doubt you. I said that I didn't hear anything about that from the media. And now you're starting to hear it. I didn't doubt it. I just said that it's funny to hear that because that's not been reported yet. So it is what it is now at this point.
Good scoop by the 3K. Good scoop.
Good scoop.
Let's get some more stuff. Yeah. I want 2 scoops. I want double the scoops.
So for those of you guys saw, Devin White did not make the trip to Brazil due to an ankle injury. And from everything that I've been told, you can put the ankle injury in quotations, because he didn't make the trip because he was pouting and because he was benched is what I was told. So whether or not Devin White ever plays for the Eagles will remain to be seen at this point.
Well, sell all your Devin White stock and all your Devin White jerseys. I'm glad I didn't order one from our friends overseas.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to some predictions for the game this week. Start with you, Al.
So let me say something. Screw you, Roger Goodell, for making this the opening game of the season for these 2 teams who are playoff contenders, if not Super Bowl contenders. You're sending them down to a country that really doesn't want anything to do with football. I get you're trying to globalize the game and all that, but you're sending them down there to hell. The guys can't leave the hotel rooms. The air is shitty. They can't wear their team colors, all this crap that we've been listening to now for months. So first of all, I wanted to get that out of the way. As far as my prediction for the game, I don't think Devin White, speaking about him, I don't think his presence is going to be what makes or breaks this team's success on defense, but I still think the defense is a huge question mark. I don't know what it's going to look like. New defensive coordinator, new guys all over the field. I think that the Eagles have the definite edge on offense, and I don't think anybody's going to argue with that, even if you think Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I have bad vibes about this game, and I've been going back and forth about this for the last week. If you'd have asked me last week, I think I would have said the Eagles are going to win this game, and not easily, but maybe, by 7, 8, something like that, 10 even. I'm going back on that, and I'm trying to be more objective this season with my Eagles predictions. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to come down to the Packers having to lean on their new kicking specialist, Braden Narvison, who they just signed after they had a lot of field goal woes last year, after the departure of Mason Crosby for so long. I think this kid who, from what I understand, just got married and was barely able even to get into the country because he didn't have his passport or his visa or something along those lines. I think it's going to come down to a field goal difference, and the Packers are going to steal this one in South America, and it's going to be a long week ahead for the Eagles and their fans. 24-21 Green Bay.
All right, I'll go next. Chris, you've always made this one point, and I think it's extremely valid, that these teams now come into week 1, week 2, week 3, and are not prepared to play because they don't play guys in the preseason. And the football just looks a little bit uglier than it does later in the season. And I look at these two teams, and I look at an Eagles team that personnel-wise, there's not a ton of changes on the offense, but they have a brand new system. And we didn't see any of the guys play in the preseason. The defense, on the other hand, has a bunch of new guys and played a little bit in the preseason, but still not enough game action. And you have a team on the other side in Green Bay that has a lot of camaraderie, not a lot of changes in the coaching staff, not a lot of changes on the personnel on their side. I think that's a huge advantage, especially coming into a week 1 situation in a foreign country, a lot going on. I actually have it as even more of a blowout. I got Packers 30, Eagles 20. I got a 10-point win for the Packers. I just think, again, it's early in the season, and I don't think this team took enough reps in the preseason to be ready to play.
Yeah,
Chris?
I think that's a great point, and it's kind of where I was coming from with my prediction as well. I think that you have a bunch of nerds who are trying to do the stats and this and that and say that this certain guys shouldn't play, and you're protecting this and that and the third, and in the preseason, and I just feel like guys that are football dudes like Andy Reid and other guys around the league that are still playing guys. Pat Mahomes is the best player in football as far as I'm concerned. He's playing preseason. He's played it for a while now. And if he can do it, anybody can do it. With new coordinators this year, I was especially surprised that we didn't see a lot more of the regular starters, especially on offense, like you said. I think this team's going to be fine, but I do think that this week is a challenge for them. And I would say a lot of times the under is hit on these week 1 games. So I'm going to say it's going to be a low-scoring game, similar to how the game week 1 was last year against New England. So I'm going to say an ugly, like 25-21 Packers.
So all of us on the Packers.
Wow.
Versa called it. The Versa said, guest looks happy as a hostage as he's ready to pick the pack.
Yeah. Now, that's not saying I think the Eagles are in trouble for the season. I just think it's a tough spot for them. And all you've heard is negativity about this trip from that locker room. And I think that's going to carry on to the field. And I would not be surprised when they are on the way home or coming home, when that's a lot of excuses and singing about, well, we didn't have this and we didn't have that. We should have never been there. We lost a home game and da. That's on a lot of these guys' minds already as it is. They're probably just getting there. It's a lot of distractions, but it's on both teams. The Packers have those distractions too. So we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be under. I said 25-21 off the cuff. I don't know what the over-under actually is. Is it 46.5?
The over-under is
49.5.
Okay, so the under would hit with that too. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to go with, 25-21 Green Bay.
Wow.
All right. So we are all on board with the Packers on week 1.
This is a 3K first. There's no way we've all bet against the Eagles in the same week.
I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I just
Yeah, I don't know. It's few and far between, that's for sure.
Whew.
All right. I want to get to some other season predictions overall before we jump into segment 2 tonight. So let's start with our Super Bowl picks. I don't know if you guys have them ready, but I'll go first. I think Friday night we're going to be watching a team that's going to be playing in the Super Bowl. And I mentioned I think it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. I am extremely bullish on this team. I loved what they did at the end of last year. I like the coaching staff. I love the quarterback. I like the weapons a lot. I got Green Bay, and I'm sticking with Kansas City. I wanted to go Baltimore really bad, throw them in there. But you got to ride with Kansas City until they tell you otherwise. So I got the Packers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Al, where you at?
Oh, you really are all in on the Pack this year. Go Pack, go.
Cheeseheads.
I'm not too far behind you there because I'm taking a team from the NFC North. I got the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl this year. I think it's their year. I'm very impressed with what they do on offense. You can't help but love the coach. I know that there's questions on defense, but even just the smallest upgrade, and you have to imagine they're going to progress to the mean a little bit after the disaster that was their past defense last year. I mean, they have to. So I got the Lions making the Super Bowl, and Adam, I kicked the tires with the Ravens the Jets, even the Texans. But when it comes down to it, there's a plane that's in the air and that thing is soaring and it ain't going no down anytime soon. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are together in Kansas City, I got the Chiefs in the Super Bowl as well. So I have Lions and Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
All right. Chris?
So I'm sure the NFL didn't really assume this was going to happen, but I think it's going to end up being almost like a tournament here tomorrow and Friday. I think the winners of these two games are very much in a good position to represent their respective conferences in the Super Bowl. I think this could really be a foreshadowing of both title games this year. I too am bullish on Green Bay. I think that if really whoever wins these games is who I'm going to go with. So I picked the Packers for the Eagles Packers game, and I like Baltimore this year. I think Baltimore is the year where Lamar and those guys get over that. They always are a team that seems to always have something in front of them. Sometimes it's self-inflicted, but I think Lamar gets it done this year. But I'm going to say Baltimore and Green Bay. Now that'll change if the Eagles win. If the Eagles win, then I'll say Baltimore and the Eagles. Or maybe if the Chiefs win, I'll say Chiefs and Packers or Chiefs and Eagles. I don't know. But I just feel like whoever wins these games tomorrow and Friday are going to be my picks for the Super Bowl this year. So right now I'm going to say Baltimore and Green Bay.
Diverse in the chat says, don't let me down, guess. Say Eagles.
We'll see.
Yeah,
you see it. I mean, if they come out on fire,
he left the door a little cracked. He left.
If they come out on fire and they win this game big, absolutely, I'm going to say if they win this game in general, because if it's a muck, what do you call it, a muck grinding kind of game? What's that hockey term that they always use?
Muck.
If it's that kind of game and they pull it out and get a hard-earned win, then that looks good too against a potential formidable conference opponent. So either way, a win's a win. We'll take it, and that will put them in my spot for that Super Bowl berth. But I just think that I really like Jordan Love, and I got to see the secondary in action, and we haven't seen them.
Not his spot, her spot, their spot, my spot in the Super Bowl. Guess I'm just surprised you didn't take the Sixers to win it.
Well, I wasn't asked.
I do want to do our week one best bets as well. We did a really good job last year putting our best bets out there. I think we both have all winning records. So it's time to get it started for this week. Chris, you have one?
For the best bet for
the week one.
I'll be honest, I have not had a chance to look this through. I'm actually kind of double dipping right now as we're talking.
I got one. Figure it out.
Go ahead, Al.
I'll give mine. You guys are gonna hate mine because I think I tried to do something like this before and you both bitched at me. But I can't help it. So this week, my best bet. When you talk about the NFL international games since 2021, 7 of 8 of those games have been one-score games. They've been within 8 points. 8 of 8, all 8 of them since 2021 have gone under 55 points total. I'm teasing the Packers with the under. So if you do a 6-point teaser, you get Packers plus 8.5 and under 54.5. You get exactly the numbers that you need. That's my best bet.
So you're going teaser. You're giving a little tease.
I'm taking a little tease. I'm teasing the tease.
All right. So Al's locked in with Packers and the under on the teaser. I'm going to give you guys an ugly one to start off the season. I'm going to give you the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, my God.
Is that what you were picking?
So I had 2. That was one of them, but that I actually really I was gonna drop that in on you guys. But
great minds think alike. They're getting 6.5 points in Buffalo. We're going to discuss Buffalo in segment 2 when we go into the AFC East. But I'm extremely down on Buffalo. I don't like their offseason at all. You got Arizona coming in, Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr. They have enough offense to score some points, and I think they stay in this game. They actually have a chance of winning this thing outright. So I'm taking the Cardinals plus the 6.5 on Sunday as my best bet.
Yeah, that was going to be like a surprise game I was going to drop on you guys. I agree with you, Seltzer. For everything you just said, I think that that's a spot where they might bite Buffalo. You know how I feel about Josh Allen, your boy, overrated in my opinion. But That's not the conversation. I'm going to go with the Bears. The Bears. All right. I'm going to take them minus, what is it, 4 right now or 4.5?
4.5.
I'm going to ride them against the Titans. Titans suck. And I think that's just a line to start off the year because it's week 1. Anything can happen in the NFL. But I think that this year, playing at home in this game with the hype that they have around those weapons they have, that new quarterback, I think the Bears come out and do good things in this game and win pretty handily. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 25-14 kind of game.
All right, so there you have it. Al's teasing the Packers in the under. I'm taking the Cardinals, and Guest is taking the Bears.
Straight cash, homie. Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie, it is. All right, gents, we got two divisions left to preview. We're going to go a little quicker than normal tonight. We're going to start in the AFC North.
The way to go quicker is to just skip it. I'd rather talk about 90s sitcoms than either one of these divisions.
Yeah, man.
I really couldn't care. Listen, if somebody's listening to us to hear about what we think about the AFC North, then I don't know what to tell them, honestly.
There's some doppelganger Chris Style out there in Cincinnati.
Yeah, man. You never know who's listening.
I know, but come on.
Pittsburgh Steelers, over-unders 8.5. Finished 10-7 last year, made the playoffs before losing in the wild card to Kansas City. Defense, very bended but don't break. 21st in yards allowed, but only 6th in points allowed. Have not had a losing season since 2003. Is this the year? The over/under again, 8.5 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris,
I'm surprised that their first round pick, Troy, I think it's Fuatanu from Washington, was still there. That guy was. Some scouts had him as the top 10 pick, so they got a steal, I think, with that pick. But a guard is not going to get you necessarily over the hump, obviously, in the NFL. So, with that being said, I feel like they got some tough games too. This division is not an easy division, obviously, with Baltimore, with Cincinnati, with Cleveland. This might be the toughest division in football this year, as far as just beating each other up. So, looking at their I guess interdivisional games or interconference games, they're not that. I mean, at Atlanta, they play home against Dallas, the Giants. They go to Washington. Their schedule's So I'm going to say it was 8.5. I'll take the over for Pittsburgh.
Wow.
all right, Al.
This was my sexy pick to win the division last year, and they probably could have done it if it wasn't for having no quarterback whatsoever to throw the ball with Kenny Pickett on the roster. A lot of their success is going to depend on whether or not they're going to start Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. If they start Russell Wilson,
Wilson's already been named. They said he's already.
I mean, for the entirety of the season.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if Russell Wilson can play, the majority of the games of the season start for them, this could be a very formidable team. They still have a very good defense with players all over the field. Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr., TJ Watt, et cetera. But I feel a little burned by them last year, not winning the division as my sheet pick. I have them going 7-10. So barely the under, but I would say that's more of a floor than a ceiling.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go under as well. I have them 8-9. The Russell Wilson, Justin Fields QB combo doesn't do a lot for me. I can very well see a situation where, Russ starts the season. By week 5, they're putting in Fields, and then by week 9, they put Russ back in, and it's just kind of a carousel all year. But an interesting stat for you guys to think about, TJ Watt, when TJ Watt is on the field, the Pittsburgh Steelers 69-33. When TJ Watt's not on the field, they're 1-10.
Yikes.
So that just shows how important of it and how important he is for that team. So
it's like a Lane Johnson stat.
Right.
One thing too, Al, talking about defense and what they've done. Patrick Queen this year is on there.
Yeah, Patrick Queen, big pickup.
From Baltimore.
But last 4 weeks at Philly, at Baltimore, and then home for KC and Cincy. That's tough to end the season on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Cleveland. Cleveland over-under is also 8.5. They were 11-6 last year before losing in the wild card round to the Houston Texans. They started 5 different quarterbacks last year. You guys want to take a shot?
No.
Flacco,
Watson.
No idea.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, PJ Walker, and Jeff Driscoll all started games for the Cleveland Browns last year.
How do guys like Jeff Driscoll still get like an NFL contract?
Yeah. But even through all that, they still go 11-6, and they lost Nick Chubb in week 2 last year for the entire season. We'll see what he has if he manages to come back this year. They brought in Jerry Jeudy. Listen, I'm going to take the over here for all the reasons I just said. I mean, what more could go wrong for this team last year than that didn't happen at this point? They went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco as the quarterback. Now, Deshaun Watson has a lot to prove. Chris, you've been anti-Deshaun for a while. I think I'm tending to lean in your direction now after being bullish on him. But again, can it be a worse situation than what they had last year? I don't really think so. I think Stefanski's a good coach. The defense is really, really, really good. I got him at 10-7. I got the over.
Wow.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be their calling card this year, and I'm still really bullish on them. I'm still very bearish on Deshaun Watson. I've never been a believer of Deshaun Watson, even before his whole scandal had occurred. Never been a big fan of him as a franchise guy. But I think, like I said, the defense is going to be really good. And either one of you, by any chance, it's been bothering me, and I've been either too busy or not really caring enough to look it up. But is Jamari Thrash James Thrash's son? He's their 5th round pick that they had. Is he?
I assumed it. I never really looked it up though.
Because I mean, you figure like obviously Thrash isn't a common name, and it begins with a J, like James. So I'm thinking that there's a connection there. Right. I hope he's better than his daddy if it is.
Yes, it says it is his son. That's according to Twitter. That's according to Jeff Ma on Twitter.
Okay, so a lot of sons now in the NFL these days, which is showing how old we are. I guess at this point, or we're getting older. I'll take the over. I think, like I said, their defense is going to be really, really tough to deal with for teams. And if they win games, that's going to be really tough to play in that stadium in the wintertime this year.
Dog pound.
Yeah.
All right, Al, you seem to have the under. I can tell by your reaction.
Yeah, I don't like this team. I think that they might have the best pass rushing duo in the league with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. But other than that, I don't like this team. I think the defense is going to come back to earth a little bit. They played out of their minds last year, but in my opinion, it's really hard to keep that up when the offense sucks. Like the offense sucked for 17 games last year. No, I shouldn't say that. I take that back because Joe Flacco did wonders for that team. Joe Flacco's gone. So I don't like Deshaun Watson. I don't like Jerry Jeudy. I don't think that's a great acquisition for the offense. I think this team regresses a bit this year, and I have them finishing 7-10 as well.
See, I like their offense isn't as bad as you guys are. I mean, Watson, we'll see if he's decent. Then I think that I like their receiving group. I like Amari, Jeudy, and Elijah Moore, and then the Njoku. They got a decent O-line. And then obviously we talk about their defense. I think they're better than you guys are giving them credit for.
I don't think their offense is bad. I'm in on them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have them as a sexy pick in the AFC this year. I think that if they can just score 25 a game, 24, 25 a game with that defense, I think they're going to be really good.
Can Deshaun do that, though? That'll be the question.
That's the question, right?
Yeah. All right, let's jump on Cincinnati. Bengals over under 10.5. Disappointing year last year. They were 9-8. Obviously, the Burrow injury ended up costing their season. But even with Burrow, they were only 5-5. Chris, let's start with you. Where are you at on Cincy?
I mean, Burrow's my dude. Chase is my dude. I love this team. I always have since they've had these guys there. But again, they're another group. It's like injuries always find a way to bite them at the worst time. And until we see, and if it's not that, it's Pat Mahomes in front of them. So I think we'll see how it plays out. They're definitely a team I could see going to the Super Bowl. And for that reason, I'm going to still go with the over. Which is, what was it again? You said it was
10.5. So you got them winning 11 games.
Yeah, I'm going to say 11-6. And that's probably around their medium. I think they're capable of getting more than that, but to satisfy the bet, I would put them at 11 wins for the over.
All right, Al, where are you at on Cincy?
I don't know what to think of this team, honestly, because of Joe Burrow just not being able to stay on the field. It's hard to say what's going to happen. It seems like things got resolved with Jamar Chase. He finally showed up to practice. The O-line did a little bit of a revamping in this offseason. They've lost the right tackle. They lost both their interior guards. So there's a lot of new faces on the O-line. Can they mesh? They lost Joe Mixon. They're really going to be trusting the second-year back, Chase Brown. to see if he can, keep them steady on the ground. I don't know. I think if Burrow is healthy and Chase and Higgins are on the field, and they brought in my boy Mike Gesicki, who never really, met his potential where he's been so far, but Penn Stater, so I got to shout him out. If all those guys stay healthy and they stay on the field and the O-line does, its job, they can still be a good team. I have them at 10-7, but I'm weary about it. So slightly under.
All right. Actually, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, Al, Gesicki's got the smallest waist I've seen on a non-kicker in the NFL.
A little petite.
He looks like he wears a 32 pants.
A little Twinkie.
I'm also
going Twinkie, all right.
I'm also going under. I have him 9-8. I just think, like you guys said, there's a lot of question marks. You said the Chase thing got resolved now. I don't necessarily know that. There's no contract agreement at this point, so I think he's on the field, so he doesn't get any more fines and to be there. T. Higgins is another one who's disappointed he didn't get a long-term deal. He's playing on the franchise tag. And Trey Hendrickson's up for free agency at the end of this year. So all these guys – what'd you say?
A lot of distractions on his team.
A lot of distraction. And the Bengals are known for just – we talk about Cleveland with a bunch – just not being a well-run organization from the top down. And I think some of these questions stem from that and their unwillingness to pay some of their players. So I still think they're too talented to fall any further. But I have 9-8, which will probably – be fighting for a wild card spot come the end of the year. All right. Last team in the division, Baltimore Ravens, 10.5. They lost the AFC title game last year again to Kansas City. Lamar wins his second MVP, but again, stumbled a little bit in the playoffs. Derrick Henry is in there, who was, as you think about it, he's probably born to be a Baltimore Raven at this point with the way he plays football. They did lose 3 starters on the offensive line. They're still thin in the receiving room. Feels like they've been thin at receiver for 20 years at this point. I'm going over, and this is going to be my best bet. Lamar Jackson just wins regular season games. I don't have his career record written down, but it's really, really good.
His numbers against everybody but Mahomes is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a really, really good quarterback. But their defense turned last year. Defense led the league in sacks, points allowed, and takeaways. I know they did lose their defensive coordinator, but they still have Kyle Hamilton. They still got Roquan Smith, and they got some others. I got Baltimore at 13-4 and potentially having home field throughout the AFC playoffs. Chris?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Baltimore, like I said earlier, Baltimore is a team I think they can win this whole thing. And so, it wouldn't really behoove me to say that and then get them in here and take an under bet. So I definitely have them with the over. Lamar's got a little bit of Nikola Jokic in him, dare I say, in the sense that if nobody else is close, they just kind of give him the MVP because of his rushing yards combined with his passing yard. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does. Last year, he didn't have the passing yards to get it, but it just you're right. He kind of won it by default because, I mean, Purdy was in line to win it and then the last few weeks kind of fell off. He had that bad game against the Ravens. And Mahomes didn't have the numbers last year.
They couldn't justify giving it to Mahomes last year.
And Hurts was in the race, obviously, until the debacle until the team fell apart.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to take the over with them. I mean, they're always just a, well-coached, well-ran team. And I think that's going to continue this year. They're one of those teams, doesn't matter. They're just a system team. Like, to me, if you could put the 3 of us in there as their linebacking group, and we'll find a way to each have 100 tackles. Like, it's just one of those teams that just knows how to coach and knows how to play and win. So I'm going to take the over for the
They just have a great culture. I think that's kind of the word.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Al?
I don't know if it's because I like them or because the schedule really is soft, but I think they have some winnable games on the schedule. Like, they have to play the NFC East and the AFC West, but they get Philly at home. And the AFC West outside of Kansas City stink. And they get Kansas City in the first game of the year, where we've seen teams lay an egg in the first game of the year in recent years. So they could win that opening game Thursday night. So I don't know. I like the Ravens. I am a little weary when a team, leads the league in all those categories you talked about, Seltzer, as far as like sacks and all that stuff, because you do come back down to earth. But I have them going 11-6 and winning the North.
I wanted to just add real quick too. It says Lamar Jackson's regular season record is 58-19.
Yeah, 58-19.
It's very good.
Yeah. All right, what are you guys' best bets in that division? Where are you at?
Oh, yeah. I'll take Baltimore from that. I'm gonna go Baltimore.
The Browns were 8.5, right?
Browns are 8.5.
Yeah, give me the under as my best bet.
All right. Al's on the under for Cleveland. Chris and I on the over for Baltimore. All right, let's jump to the last division, boys, the AFC East. We can go quickly for this first team because there's not a lot to talk about. New England, 4.5 is the total. 4-13 last year. Bill Belichick finally out, as well as Mac Jones. In is Gerard Mayo and Drake May. I'm taking the under 4.5 as well. I'm going 4-13 for New England. The wide receiver room is terrible. The defense may be good. Christian Gonzalez is back off the field. We got a rookie head coach. We got Jacoby Brissett and a rookie quarterback with no wide receivers in a division that's really good. This team is picking in the top 3 in the end of next year's draft. Al?
Under best bet. 3-14.
Mm.
They're awful. They have absolutely nothing on this team. Nothing.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, about damn time.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I have no sympathy for the Patriots. I agree. I think it's under. Their best dude is probably at this point Ramondre Stevenson, and he's probably middle of the pack running back. I'm a fan of his, but I mean, as far as running backs are concerned, they're not going to ultimately, if you don't have anything else around them, they can't just win the games in that bulk that they need. So I'll take the under.
All right. I'm intrigued by these next 3 teams, and I want to see where you guys are at. We'll start with the Miami Dolphins. Total is 9.5. They were 11-6 last year, made the playoffs before losing to the Chiefs. Tua stayed healthy for an entire season, which was nice to see. I'll start. I'm going over again with this team. You guys know I was bullish on them last year. I do like the coach in McDaniel. The offense has speed. It has speed all over the place. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Achane we saw last year was a spark for them as well. I just don't see them falling off as a regular season team because of the things they can do with their speed. I know they lost Christian Wilkins on the defensive side of the ball, which will hurt them. But I still think they can outscore teams. I have them 12-5. I actually have them winning this division. So I'm going over with Miami Dolphins. Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna. You said you're the over. You said.
Yeah, the over is 9. Total's 9.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over. I'm gonna skate over it around I'm gonna say around. I'll give them 11. I want to say 10, but I'll give them 11. They do have a good team, especially their offense. I mean, there's no defense that you can. I mean, the speed they have on offense is a joke, and their schedule to me is kind of blah. So I think that I'll put them at 11 wins. So I'll take the over.
Al?
The Dolphins, I really like them, man. I'm a sucker for fast offense, and they have speed everywhere. I really like this team. I think if everyone stays healthy, they got a chance to go far. I think Tyreek Hill is a good pick for offensive player of the year. I know he's the favorite, but I really like that pick. I got the Dolphins over as well. I have them at 10-7.
All right, so we all agree over on the Dolphins. All right, let's go to the New York Jets. Over-under is also 9.5 for the Jets. They finished 7-10 last year. Obviously, really high expectations going into the season with Aaron Rodgers before he last. Did he even play a full drive or was it the first drive?
I know it was I think it was the first drive, man.
I think it was the first drive. He tears his Achilles.
Yeah.
Let's start with Al. Where are you at on the Jets?
Man, this is a team that, just like talking about the Eagles-Packers game, I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth with this team, and right now where I stand, I really like this team. I think if Aaron Rodgers can stay on the field, and I've been bullish on the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. So if I'm bullish on the Falcons and Kirk Cousins, how can I not be bullish on the Jets and Aaron Rodgers? I have this team winning a whopping 12 games and winning the AFC East this year. I think that the schedule doesn't present too many challenges, and getting to play obviously like a New England twice. They get some teams at home, like Houston at home. I really like this team. I might have some egg on my face at the end of the season, but 12-5 and make this my best bet B, my second best bet for this division.
Yeah, I'm with you, Al. I like the Jets a lot. I like their schedule a lot. I think that as long as Rodgers stays healthy, but even if he doesn't, they invested in Tyrod Taylor as a backup this year because of the insurance policy, basically, of losing Rodgers at some point to injury or otherwise. You never know with him at this point, especially at his age. So I think that Taylor's good enough with the rest of this offense. Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, Lazard, the rookie Malachi Corley, I like a lot. I think he can be like baby Debo. He has that skill set of just getting a lot of yak. And defense too, man. Their defense, again, they just got to be healthy, man. They got to keep, Mosley, Jermaine Johnson. They got Javon Kinlaw, Quentin Williams. They got Sauce Gardner. They got dudes, man. Capital dudes.
AW dudes.
All right, I'm going the other way on this. I'm going 8-9, and I'm going under. I'm just doing it based on one reason. It's the Jets, and what can go wrong will go wrong. We saw it last year, right? There was so much expectation going into the season, and all of a sudden now Zach Wilson's playing 2/3 of your football games as your starting quarterback. This team just never seems to get it right. I agree with you guys. There's a world where they can win 13 games. If Aaron Rodgers comes back off this injury, is his old self, the talent is there to do it. I can't buy into the Jets hype because it always ends bad. So I got them 8-9 on the season.
But I will say, again, Tyrod is a better option to have to go to than the other guys that have gone in the past. Their defense is pretty deep, especially on the D-line. You got Will McDonald in there, who's a good player. Solomon Thomas is in there. Tack McKinley's on the team this year. And don't let Hassan show up. If Hassan shows up, all of a sudden they got a really good defense, like potentially an elite one. So, I think that they can be dangerous.
The pieces are in place. The pieces are in place if everything falls together. It just never seems to fall together for those guys. All right, last team in the league to preview here. The Buffalo Bills. Over-under is 10.5. They were 11-6 last year before losing a heartbreaker to Kansas City again. They've won double-digit games 5 years in a row, but they made some changes on the offensive side of the ball. I'll start here. To me, they have the second best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. I know Chris disagrees. They did him an absolute misjustice with the players they put around them now. Their wide receiver room is full of rookies or guys who are probably at best third receivers. I like Khalil Shakir, but I don't think he's anything more than the slot guy. Keon Coleman is maybe the number one now. We'll see what he's got. But I know Diggs wasn't great at the end of last year, but he was still a threat. Gabe Davis underachieved last year, but he was still a threat. I just don't like what they did with this offense. They were a little bit better the second half when they committed to the run. I think James Cook is a solid back. But the defense has been decent, but they lost both their safeties. They lost Tre'Davious White. Matt Milano's already out for the year with an injury. I got this being a bad year for the Buffalo Bills. I got them under. I got them 8-9, and that's going to be my best bet is the Buffalo Bills are one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year. Chris?
I mean, you said it already. I'm not bullish at all on Josh Allen. I think he's got the skill set, but he's just never been able to, for as great as everybody makes him out to be, eventually if you're a great player, you get over these humps. As Philly fans, we know that about certain guys that we're not going to talk about. And I think he falls in that category. I don't like their offense a little bit. I think they're going to steal what the Chiefs do. I think they're going to have their tight end as their WR1, basically. I think they're going to have Kincaid as their top guy this year on offense, and James Cook to throw it off, and Josh Allen using his legs. I think that's going to be a big thing this year for them. Defense, to me, does not scare me at all. We got Rasul Douglas lined up right now as one of the corners. Decent player, physical player, but he's not a stopper in terms of getting in these guys, preventing them from getting the ball on the outside. So I think I'm gonna skate into the under on this one for Buffalo. I agree with you, Seltzer. I'm not really seeing it right now. This at this point in the game with I guess Mac Hollins is going to be a guy that they're going to really depend upon. Like he's I don't know. Or do you want to put a rookie as your number one dude?
I don't know what the play. And even you mentioned Kincaid, I'm sure he's going to be the number one, but he hasn't proven that he can handle that role. Correct.
So I think they're going to try it. I think he's good enough to do it. Right. I think they're going to give it a shot, but we'll see if that's a mistake or not. And I think we'll see pretty quickly.
when Kansas City let Tyreek walk, they knew Kelsey could handle the load. Is kind of my point.
Yeah.
All right, Al, where you at?
Not much more to say here. Josh Allen and offensive coordinator Joe Brady have their work cut out for them. They obviously did a great job last year, but I'm with you guys. But I will say losing Gabe Davis, I don't think is big. He stinks. Yeah. He's one of those guys that they just kept waiting for every year. So I think Keon Coleman is an upgrade over Gabe Davis, but losing Diggs, I don't like that. I'm with you guys. I think there's too many teams that are on the rise, clearly on the rise, and this team is not one of them. I have the Bills also at 8 and 9. Their schedule is brutal.
Yeah,
brutal. They go at Baltimore, at Houston, at the Jets in consecutive weeks. They have San Fran, at the Rams, at the Lions in consecutive weeks. Like these are really hard stretches that they're going to have to go through.
Yeah, I'll make a bold prediction too, or a hot take. I don't know what you want to call it, but if this happens and we're right here and they hit on the under, I think Brandon Beane gets fired. I think their GM. I think that his gamble this year with not putting a lot of money or resources into established players on the offensive side of the ball is going to hurt them, and I could see it costing him his head, for so to speak, for his job with that team this year.
And I think I was going to add to the point, if you went a level above me, I was going to say, if you asked me on opening day next year, which coach is most likely to not be in his current position, I think it's Sean McDermott. So if the GM goes, the coach most likely goes as well.
Well, and we also had someone who told us the other day from the Giants' perspective that there's talk of Josh Allen going to the Giants next year.
That was the first I heard of that, but
it was first I heard of it too. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially if the Bills are not good this year. And Josh Allen's like, yo, you gave me nothing this year, so I'm not going to give you anything this summer when it comes to trying to stay in this team.
Yeah, and obviously the connection there with Daboll as well, the former offensive coordinator in Buffalo. All right, we did it, guys. We previewed every single team, and now we're going to do one more football activity before we close out our preview here. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to try and share my screen. All right. So what I have in front of you guys now, we're going to do an NFL wins draft. And why don't we make it interesting, guys? Let's do $20 a piece. You guys in for that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Put us on the spot here. Let's go.
A little 20. So basically, what we're doing, it's simple. We're going to draft all the teams in the NFL. There'll be 2 teams left over because we only have 3 people, so we each get 10 teams. Whoever ends up with the most wins at the end of the season is the winner. So 1 point for each win. You get an additional point if they make the playoffs. And you get 2 points if they win, another point if they win their division. So, you guys good with that? Pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I did the order randomly. It'll be snake draft. So, I have myself first, Chris second, Al third. I'll open it up.
Randomly, he says, after putting the $20 on the line, Adam gets the first pick. Guess.
First pick ain't always the best pick. You know that.
Keeping tabs.
First pick ain't always the best. But I'm going to go with a team that may not end up with the most wins in the league, but I feel most confident that they're going to win their division and get those bonus points. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs with my first overall pick.
That's the Mr. Brightside of this draft.
Yeah. So I mean, again, they didn't win a ton of games last year, but with Vegas, Denver, and the Chargers, I'm extremely confident that they come out as division champs. So Chris, you're up on the clock.
To quote my one of my favorite characters, Tony Montana, Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore. I'm going to take the Ravens.
That's the other team I would have taken there. All right, to Al for 2 here.
One of these picks is going to be easy for me because I have them in the Super Bowl. Give me Detroit.
Detroit Lions to Al.
And then I'm actually, I want to take a team here, but I'm actually going to take a team that I'm worried about, but I think given the point system and the teams in its division, I'm going to take San Fran here.
All right, so Al's on the board with Detroit and San Francisco. Makes sense. All right, Chris, you're up. You're back up here.
All right, let's see. Well, I talked all that talk. Give me the Jets.
Chris is on the New York Jets to pair with Baltimore. And now it will go to me for 2 picks. I will take. Again, I think I need to back up my talk. I'll take the Green Bay Packers. And I will also take. I'll take the Miami Dolphins. I said I think they're a great regular season team and win double-digit games. So give me the Dolphins in the AFC East. So back to you, Chris. Currently, you have Baltimore and the Jets.
I'm going to take the Texans.
The Houston Texans off the board. All right, Al, you're up with Detroit and San Fran currently.
Well, somebody's got to take the Birds.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Philly.
Philadelphia off the
I thought you were going to say the Cardinals.
All right.
And to pair with Philly.
This is where it gets fun.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. I think I have to take. Oh boy. 1 point for a playoff berth. One point for the division, not 2.
So it'll be 2 points total because a playoff spot and a division. So I didn't want to make it seem like 3 points. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm between 2 squads here, but I think I'm going to take Atlanta because I want to go for that division bonus.
All right. I like the strategy. So Al's got Detroit, San Fran, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. Back to you, Chris. Currently sitting with Baltimore, the Jets, and the Texans.
Cincinnati.
That's who I was going to look for. Cincinnati Bengals. There. All right. To me for 2 picks here.
Look how smoothly Seltzer operates Excel. You can tell he's a spreadsheet guy at work.
Big spreadsheet guy.
Spreadsheetman.
Yo, you ever see those world championships of Excel spreadsheets?
No.
They give people like tasks to do on Excel and they see how quick they can do them.
Oh my God.
I've seen clips of it.
I did see a couple weeks ago. I meant to bring it up to you when you mentioned it a while back on the show. I did see the fighting in the front seat of the cars.
Yeah, right.
I did see that.
Jiu-Jitsu.
I did see that. Yeah, that was very strange, very
Crazy.
cringe. It was really cringe.
All right, I'm going to take. I'm going to take Jacksonville.
Ew.
Don't love it. And I'm also going to take Dallas, who I'm not really bullish on. But if the Eagles don't play up to their potential, that division could be kind of gift wrap for Dallas. So I'll take Jacksonville and Dallas.
That's what I was considering.
Dallas.
Yeah, between Atlanta and Dallas.
Don't love it. All right, Chris, back to you with Baltimore, the Jets, Houston, and the Bengals.
Now we're in the doldrums, guys. We're in the bowels.
I'm going to take Chicago.
The Chicago Bears go off the board in the middle of the 5th round. And now it goes to Al for 2.
All right, I have an easy one here. This is my surprise pick to win the AFC South. I'm taking the Colts.
The Indianapolis Colts are off the board. Back to you, Al.
Oh boy. I think I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna say, give me. I'm saying I'm gonna go with my gut, but I don't want to go with my gut. That's why I'm stalling. I will take the LA Rams.
LA Rams off the board here. First pick in the 6th round. And it'll go back to Chris.
Oh, give me the Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I'll take Cleveland.
Good pick. That's what I was going to look at. All right, I'm going to take a team that we all just trashed, but they at this point they have value. I'm going to take Buffalo.
Yeah, they got value here.
And I will take the
Ern giving you some love for the spreadsheet prowess.
I'll take Seattle. Now let's just do a quick recap of who's left for you guys who are listening on the audio version. So
before we do that, let's drop that beat.
all right, so we got in the NFC East, Washington and the Giants. In the NFC North, Minnesota. NFC South, Carolina, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay are all available. Arizona, Denver, Las Vegas, the Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Patriots. Those are teams. And again, 2 teams will not get drafted, but all the other ones will. So, Chris, back to you for your pick in the 7th round.
All right. My gut's telling me to go with the team I said could be a sleeper this year. And I think I have to do it now. I'm going to go with the Commanders.
The Washington Commanders.
They would have been safe. I wasn't going to touch them.
I know. You probably wouldn't have, but
promise.
I don't really like any of these other teams. I want to at least have someone that I can kind of root for. I don't think any of these teams are even worth that.
Yeah, this is hard, man. This is tough. There's nothing left. I got to take the Chargers. I don't think they have any shot to win the division, but potentially a wild card berth.
All right, one more for you, Al.
And I'll take Tampa Bay.
Yeah, playoff team last year.
Yeah,
that was the other one I was debating with.
All right, back to you, Chris.
I'll take the Saints.
Chris is on the Saints. I'm definitely going to take Pittsburgh. And
man,
one of these teams, the law of averages in the NFL, one of these teams will somehow find a way to make the playoffs.
I'll take Tennessee.
I'll tell you who's not getting picked in this draft.
That's what we should be doing.
The loser draft.
This one right here is not.
I think both those top 2 teams.
No, I don't. I think the Giants will get taken by you
right here.
All right, we have 7 teams left: the Giants, the Vikings, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Patriots. So Chris is on the clock with his 9th.
I guess
I'm going to win this draft in the next 2 rounds.
I guess. I guess just because of the head coach at this point, I got to go with the Broncos.
Okay.
Is that what you want to do, Al?
I was going to take Denver. Yep.
Solely because of that. I mean,
same reason. All right, that was going to be my pick. Give me the Cardinals.
Okay, Cardinals are off the board.
I was pretty high on Carolina in our NFC South preview.
You're high, all right.
But I'm going to take Vegas.
The Las Vegas Raiders are off the board. All right, Chris, your last pick. It's between Carolina, Minnesota, the Giants, and the Patriots.
This is your final 4, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I'll take. You guys were disrespectful to Bryce Young, so I'm gonna take the Panthers.
I was high on the Panthers.
I'm gonna ride with my man.
I had them winning 7 games.
Now, in the quarterback conversation, you guys were rough on that dude. Well, you thought he shouldn't be in the league.
You just like him.
He hasn't proven he should have.
Fellow little man.
Hey.
I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I'm gonna take the Giants just because I thought I gave them some credit in our NFC East preview. So I feel bad leaving my boys, the Vikings, out of it, but can't get behind Sam Darnold. So the Vikings and the Patriots do not get drafted in our draft. I'll run down the teams again for you guys who are listening on the audio version. I had the first pick. I took the Chiefs, the Packers, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Seahawks, the Steelers, the Titans, and the Giants. Chris, you want to run through yours so everybody can hear different voices?
Yeah, Baltimore, the Jets, Texans, Cincinnati Bengals, the Bears, the Browns, Commanders, Saints, Denver Broncos, and Carolina Panthers.
All right, Al.
Yes, we haven't been involved in a fantasy football league together in what, over a decade. But I have memories of just always hating your draft.
Yeah, because you're a hater.
I hate your draft, dude. I hate these
You're
teams.
a hater. What? First of all, I assume you're talking about the first 5 because after that is all crapshoot.
You picked almost the entire AFC North. We just talked about how that team's going to be a dogfight, and there's going to be ties.
There are good teams in the AFC North.
We don't get half a point for ties. This isn't this isn't the European League, guest.
Well, that's actually a great comment, Al Seltzer. What happens with ties?
I guess we have 1 point for each win, so it's got to be a win.
That counts as a win?
What?
No. Tie gets nothing.
I was going to say, okay.
All right, my team starting from round 1 is the Lions, the Niners, the Eagles, the Falcons, the Colts, the Rams, the Chargers, the Bucks, the Cardinals, and the Raiders.
So there you have it. We are less than 24 hours away from opening kickoff.
Are we giving Super Bowl picks today?
We did already. Where have you been?
We didn't take who's winning, though. We all just named the participants. I thought that we were saving it for something.
All right, well, hit us with who got the win.
All right, well, so I had the Chiefs and the Lions. My bet, my money is on the Lions because I like the odds. But my brain is with the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs over the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Chris? Chris gave us 4 teams.
Yeah, I hate this. The NFL is so unpredictable. I'll take the Ravens.
All right, I'm going to take the Chiefs as well over the Packers. It's just tough to get in there the first time, experience everything you're going to experience, and come out against Patrick Mahomes and expect to come out on top. I don't see it happening.
I'll tell you this: if the Chiefs win again this year, depending on how they win, I'll be open to revisiting the GOAT conversation at that point. That might be enough to put me over the hump. We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see.
He's so young. He's still got so many years left.
I don't even know why it's even a conversation. But we already had that battle.
So here's a question in the
I'm
chat.
not loaded if you want to go again, though. I stayed loaded up.
Before we wrap, I want to go over this question from Ern. Excluding Andy Reid, who's currently the best active head coach in the league?
And then we got to go over his second comment, but go ahead. Let's start there.
Apparently, Ernie, if you want to be the producer of the show going forward, you can feel free to send in your application. We're always hiring. All right.
So, who are the names that come to mind when you think of the best coach? Harbaugh has to come to mind.
LaFleur.
I think McVay still comes to mind.
Yeah.
I don't think Sean Payton's in the conversation anymore.
Not right now, no.
Who? What's my man's name down in Miami?
McDaniel.
Oh,
Daniel.
Yeah,
I think so.
I'm not ready to put him in that echelon.
Tomlin's still got to be there.
Tomlin's in the conversation.
yeah.
I think it's McVay.
I think so too. I would go with McVay.
I got to go with my man Dan Campbell.
Campbell's in the conversation.
Campbell's up there. Give it another couple of years. D'Amico Ryans might be in the conversation.
Could be too, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good question because again, I think especially once Tomlin retires, there's not a lot of all-time coaches still left.
What about John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I said him first.
John
Harbaugh.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we drop the beat, Seltzer, Ernie's second comment, and then we'll go. I always used to pick 2 defenses first in my fantasy football draft. Go ahead, hit him with the line, Seltzer.
Let's drop that beat.